Hi guys, Ian here. Welcome to my channel and to another video. And just to give you a little bit of warning, you're probably going to see me cry in this one because today I had to say goodbye to my little cat of 15 years. And you know, I just feel heartbroken. And I just feel such a sense of grief, and it's the same feeling that I had when I lost my mother. Now, how is that possible, you might say? Because surely the grief at the loss of a mother can't compare to the grief at the loss of a cat. But does grief need to be by degree? They say that grief is the price of love, and I agree with that. But I also think that grief is the price of not seeing things as they truly are. Grief is the price of, as the Bible puts it, seeing through a glass darkly. But I wanted to be my authentic selves with you, because often I make videos and I come out with these spiritual principles and these tenets for life. And sometimes, you know, I've got to stop and look and apply them to myself. Sometimes I'm a big mess. Some people would say, well, it's only an animal, it's only a cat. But to those people, I would say, if that is your experience of animals, then you've missed out on something incredibly wonderful. And I do hope that you have the opportunity at some point to experience animals as more than, oh, they're just animals. Because they're beings in their own right, as we are beings in our own right, of a different type, but nevertheless beings created, sourced from divinity itself. In Kabbalistic teaching, which is that the only substance of which exists to make anything, galaxies, stars, planets, trees, forests, people, animals, is the essence of divinity. So if we believe that, which I do, an animal is as much divine as you or I. And I miss that little 4-kilogram chunk of divinity that shared my life for 15 years. And I thought, well, why are you grieving? What is it that you are missing? Because we didn't have deep and profound conversations. Cats can't do that. But we did communicate. And I loved him, and I loved how he felt when he cutched into me, and I loved caring for him and trying to understand what he would be trying to tell me. And I realized as all of our emotions are wonderful opportunities to learn and to understand the nature of things. And looking at our own grief, when we find ourselves in times of grief, we will learn things about ourselves and about existence in times of grief that we can't learn in any other life experience. So when you feel grief, when you feel that sense of unbearable loss within you, don't push it away. Don't switch off from it eternally. Permanently, I meant, not eternally. let it fill you. Let yourself experience it. You may need to turn away from it from time to time, but allow it in. Allow it to wash over you and study and know what's happening within yourself. Because nothing is in vain. No human experience is in vain. It's all for a purpose. And I realized that my sense of grief was the physical loss of my cat, as it was the physical loss of my mother. And I realize that it is the same. Grief, when we experience it, is the same. It's our physicality responding to the loss of their physicality. Because what we are beyond our physical vessels doesn't change. It's only this perceived, well, it's not perceived, is it? It's actual, it's physical to physical, but it's only our perceptions that this is perhaps all there is that causes us to grieve so much at the loss of it. As I say, it's because despite all that we know intellectually, despite all that we might know spiritually and experientially, we still see through the glass darkly. We still experience through the glass darkly, and we are physical beings whilst we're in manifestation. And our physicalness registers grief, registers this not being in close communion with the object of our grief. Because, you know, even my dogs, they haven't eaten today. They know that little Luke, my cat, is gone and it's affected them. They won't eat. The physical misses the physical. But the eternal doesn't miss the physical, because the eternal is not physical. And in the world of the eternal, nothing ever dies. Things change, but they do not die permanently. It's a bit like would we go into a decline at the loss of the caterpillar? No, we wouldn't, would we? Because we know that the butterfly comes out the other end. Well, it's like that. You know, as above, so below, and I repeat this so many times, we see the patterns of the eternal manifest in the mechanisms of the material and of the manifest world. This caterpillar to butterfly, there is a higher archetype. This earthly pattern originates from a heavenly pattern. And when I say heavenly, I'm not only talking about the Christian heaven, I'm talking about the world of divinity as we perceive divinity to be. Beingness does not die. Human beingness doesn't die. Cat beingness doesn't die. Dog beingness. Anything that is alive cannot die. Anything that possesses the spark of life cannot die, because it is eternal. Only the vessel that it inhabits dies. You know, now we could go on to whether animals have a soul, and I did do a video some time back about this, and I can't remember what I said in it or whether my views have changed, but the point I'm trying to make is that which is soul cannot die. And you know, as I'm speaking to you now, because really I'm speaking to myself, I am comforting myself with that which I know, but which in times of extreme emotion, which is what grief is, I sometimes forget. And as I speak to you and as I speak to myself, that sense of grief based in a false sense of loss eases. And this is what I mean when I say we shouldn't push our grief away. We should sit with it. We should explore it. We should try and understand what it is based in. And then we should use that which we know to be true, that which we have gained, that wisdom that we have gained through our spiritual journeyings, that we can argue against these irrational beliefs that we have. Okay, so thank you for listening, guys. I didn't cry, but that's because I feel happier at the end of this video than I did at the start of making it. So thank you for listening, and I will speak to you guys again soon. Bye for now.